time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. What does legacy mean to you? Not the version that gets talked about at funerals, not the version that gets engraved on a plaque, the real version, the one you're building every day through your choices, your relationships, and how you show up in the world. And here's another question. Where do you get your value? Because for many of us, especially as we got older, our identity became what our value came from, our roles, our titles, our accomplishments, our accumulations, our business, our ability to produce, perform, prove, and achieve. But what happens when those things change? What happens when retirement approaches, the kids leave home, the business gets sold, or the titles disappear? Who are you then, my friend? And perhaps even more importantly, who do you want to become? I think one of the greatest opportunities at this stage of life is we get to move beyond success and begin asking deeper questions about significance. Not just what have I accomplished, but what difference am I making? Not just what have I built, but what will endure, what will outlive me. Today's guest, Debbie Simmons, has devoted her work to helping leaders navigate exactly that journey from success to significance, from achievement to impact, from building a career to building a legacy worth living and leaving. And honestly, I can't think of a more important conversation for those of us who know we are not done yet, but also know we're being called to something deeper. So let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jeanette Anderson, and today I have with me the fabulous, imitable Debbie Simmons, who is coming to us straight from, where are you, Debbie?
Houston, Texas.
Should have got it from the accent. All right, I'm glad to have you. Today we're going to be talking about success to significance, building a legacy worth living and leaving. So that's an important topic. And it really is about refining and reframing aging as evolution, moving from achievement and accumulation towards purpose, contribution, and a legacy that outlives us. So it's a fabulous conversation. One of the ones that we have here that are meaningful is what's next and how are you going to step into that? So I'm glad you're here to give us your perspective on that, Debbie.
Yeah, excited.
Okay, so you know how it goes, folks. I'm going to give you the official bio, then we're going to find out the unofficial details about Debbie. And we're going to dive into both her journey and this topic. So, Debbie Simmons is a keynote speaker, author, leadership strategist, and CEO of Anchor Point, known as the legacy architect who guides high capacity leaders from success into significance and lives of lasting impact. Her work is built on the architecture of trust, the principle that where you place your trust determines both your success and the legacy you build. You're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Through her proprietary framework, the Obedience Engine, Debbie equips executives and entrepreneurs to align identity, leadership, and decision-making so clarity and momentum replace pressure and burnout. She's the author of The Heart of Legacy and the creator of the Vision Day Experience, a private leadership environment where leaders reset their trajectory and architect their next chapter. Debbie's message is simple. You are not designed to merely pursue success. You were created to leave a legacy worth living and leaving. Beautiful. And by the way, I really want to come back to that whole, where did it go?
Architecture trust.
No, that too, but also the leadership, the obedience engine, because like there's a word that gets me kind of tipping my head. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, so Debbie, now tell me something about you that people wouldn't guess. What's something that's not on your website, no one would guess?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you one thing that I'm very proud of first, and then I'll add that extra thing because I have it. Is that I am a wonderful adoptive mom of 9 children, and I have 15 grandbabies, so that I get to be called Lolly. So I'm super proud of that. But the thing that they all like that I can do that most people wouldn't get off of any website that I have is that I can sing my alphabet backwards.
You can sing your alphabet backwards.
Yeah, I can do it for you if you want, real
Okay,
quick.
well, tell me, first of all, why did you learn that?
That's the well, that's the interesting story. I was a teenager and I was dating this guy, and we were sitting there doing homework one night, and somehow we got in this discussion that if I ever got pulled over for drinking, that they would make me say my alphabet backwards. And I finished my homework for before him, so I just memorized it. Now, the funny part is I don't drink. So I will never be pulled over for drunk driving. So I'm like, why did I need this skill set? But you know what? It works for audiences of all ages, and it works for my grandkids. And I teach my kids how to sing it backwards when they were little, and we have a lot of fun with it.
Okay, 9 kids. Holy cow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lot. That's a lot. Okay, and 15 grandkids for sure. Christmas around your house must be absolute pandemonium.
it's fun. It's
Or,
every day is exciting. So.
now, see, now you've got me intrigued. So you got to sing the alphabet backwards, even though it's
Okay, I'll
okay.
do it. I'll do it fast. Okay, are you ready? We'll do the very fast version because the kids like very fast. Okay, here we go. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMOK JIHDFEDCB and A. Now I know my ZYX. Next time, won't you sing with me? There you go.
Okie dokie. That's hilarious. That's a good party trick. I should think about that. Okay, so let's get into your topic here. First of all, how did you end up doing this work? So what's a brief version of your journey?
Okay, so let's start with, the truth of the matter is, I went to college to be an engineer. So
Okay.
why am I doing all the things that I'm doing? I have no idea. But God had just taken me on this journey after some deep loss to found and start a nonprofit. And that has the ability to impact literally thousands of people each and every year. And it's going on 16 years old. And as I've built that from scratch and done all of this over the last 16 years, what God began to do is open the door for me to be able to coach and to lead other leaders who are wanting to build things and don't quite know how to put it all together, and to go to ones that kind of got things going on and they're going, oh my gosh, this is just so hard. Everything keeps landing in my lap. And how in the world will I ever be able to get out of this business? How will I ever be able to transition and go do the next thing? Because it seems like it's all landing on me. Well, that is my experience as I built the nonprofit. But the truth of the matter is, I've got to figure out how to build the structure in place that can sustain the ministry, and the people then trust it to work it, and then the business can go on without me having to be in the day-to-day operation. And
Mhm.
when that happens, it's really funny because my world becomes very silent
Mhm.
because the structure is carrying the weight of everything. And then a very cool thing happens. I begin to breathe again.
Mm.
And when I begin to breathe again, I can begin to dream again, and I can be creative, and I can do all those things that the visionary, the CEO, only I can do, right? But I was getting stuck in this lack of structure, and I'm the one that filled all the gaps. And so I was like, I've got to, I have a new book coming out called The Architecture of Trust, because this is what we got to do to be able to take our stuff to the next level. And it's been my growth process, and almost everything I've ever had the joy of doing is because I've gone through a growth process in, in the process. So,
Yep, I hear you. Uh, another growth opportunity. Sometimes that has a word in front of it too. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's a brilliant um, framework that a lot of
Mhm.
people miss. It's simple and profound because in its simplicity, but not necessarily easy to do. So what you talked about is recognizing what was the importance of what you were doing and what was the structure needed to support it so that you could remove yourself. And that's one of the big things that's a challenge for many people to transition from entrepreneur to business owner,
Mhm.
to leader, is to be able to remove themselves, partially because of ego. We like thinking that we can't be replaced and we're the only one who does it right. But putting the structure in place allows people to trust the system and the process, and allows us to trust the system and the people,
Mhm.
which is a very important component of the letting go, and creating continuity, creating, efficiency and consistency, and then it equals freedom for you. As you said, you had that moment
Yeah.
where there was some silence. I had a mentor once who said, there's freedom in structure. And the rebel in me was like, ah, no, no. That's the last thing that creates freedom, but it's very true,
Right.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the piece where then you go on to say, okay, so I have some silence that gives me room to dream, which gives me room to come back to my role as a visionary so that I can again lead the organization. It's a really beautiful reminder of what actually works.
Mhm.
So, how did you um, decide you were going to build this and go in this specific work of legacy
Yeah.
architect and so forth?
Mhm.
Was it simply because of the demand, that what you were seeing, or was it something else that pushed you in that direction?
I, for me personally, it's like it is my heartache as a CEO, and I talk to CEOs all the time, and they're going, "That's it. It's just not easy anymore. I don't, I thought, hiring all these people was going to work and everything still comes back to me, and this is the frustration, and the interesting thing is it's the frustration." But we start thinking a lot of times, and a lot of people that I talk to, we start thinking that it's the people. We got the wrong people, da 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 da. But you know what? Most of the time we've got good people. It's the structure that's creating the problem. And
Yeah,
we just don't it's like this light bulb goes on and it's like, oh, that's it. I know what it is. And when CEOs figure that out, it is so powerful because it's like, okay, now I can figure out how to fix this. And you identified something that's very important is that as we build, especially if you have people that are going from entrepreneurs to bringing on 4 or 5 staff people, and they're going, yeah, we should be able to rock it. Well, guess what? Complexity just went up. And you know what? And what you could easily get done before, now we've got to have leadership alignment. We've got to have decision clarity. We've got to have execution reliability. This is the structure, right? And what's got us here so far is my ability to control and hustle. And I
hmm,
could make it happen, right? And now I got to empower people to get it to make it to happen. And when I empower people, I got to sit back and like let them do things. And then my control freak comes out. And I'm like, and so the growth process in me that has to happen, the growth place in the structure and in empowering the people. And, I find as I've walked through this over the years, I find that it's mostly me that has to do the hard work because I have to like release and let go. And then I have to fight for structure. A really funny thing, and this is a great way for someone to realize that, I got an email last night and it was telling me about a problem way down in the organization. Important problem, but it's way down. And I'm like, why are they telling me? They have 2 supervisors before me, okay? And
hmm,
why aren't those supervisors intervening and helping this person? And, they're trying to figure out what to do and they're feeling like unsupported. It wasn't a bad email. It was just, we're having this issue and can you give us some insight? And I'm like going, why is the system not working?
right.
And I think that is, I had 2 choices at that point, right? I know the answer and I know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Everything in me wants to go do that.
Yes.
And instead, I had to write an email and go, I think we have a structure problem.
Yeah.
And I think certain people aren't moving or don't feel empowered to do the things that they need to do or don't feel like they own it. And we need to fix the structure. Not, and so that's a good CEO answer versus me stepping in, right? And I think this is just what they're facing.
Yes.
And this is what I hear.
Yeah.
And I bet there's people listening that go, that's me.
Exactly. Well, and so tell me a little bit more about the actual work you do. So is it mostly consulting? Is it executive coaching? What do you do?
It ends up being a combination a lot of times because, if I have to work with me, the CEO, and I have to work with the business, executive coaching is going to be on, hey, how do I be the best CEO I can be?
Mhm.
And that lays into how do we look at the business?
Right.
And then we've got to deal with both sides of it. So a lot of times what will bring someone to me is a CEO just wanting to pull their hair out and just going, I can't do this anymore. It's just becoming, it's just too much.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you got this. And so we'll look at what they do. And when their light bulb goes off, they're
Mhm.
like, help me fix this. And
Mhm.
so then we'll move over here and we'll start working with their leadership team to figure out what their leadership team understands and what they believe is happening in the organization. And then we'll just start to build those different pillars wherever they are weak. And one of the fun things that I like to say is, the way we know what we trust,
Mhm.
personally or as a business, is what happens when the pressure goes up. And when the pressure goes up, everything gets revealed, right? And that's just part of the journey. It's not a failure. It's
Yeah.
just I was working with a CEO last night, and they had decided to pull off an event very quickly, and their front desk staff knew very little about the event. And secondly, they didn't know how to handle any of the things that were fixing to be sold.
Mhm.
I'm going, that's a disaster waiting to happen, right? And I'm going, it was a fine event. It went well. We were able to get the front desk team, help them get where they needed to be,
Yeah.
and we got through it. So it was successful, but it's like, okay, that pressure revealed a couple of things.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we want for these CEOs. And then you go make adjustments
Yeah.
and you're gonna have another event.
Yeah.
And let's see if the system holds, the structure holds. And that is the growth process.
Like that. Okay, one of the things that you said was we're moving from achievement and accumulation, and that's largely what a lot of the path is as you're growing up and growing older. We've been taught to go to school, then and get a degree, go get a good career, go on the career fast track, get married, have 2.5 kids, not nine, and
Some
and
people break all the rules.
yeah, and you know work and climb corporate ladders fast and far as you can, then retire and then die. That old, process and myth is so 1950s, so not the case anymore. Actually, so turn of the century, really. But all of that is about achievement and accumulation. We hit a certain point where that's no longer the goal or the satisfaction or necessary. But what a lot of people find is when they are transitioning is who am I now that I'm not the CEO? Who am I now that I'm not the accountant, the stay-at-home mom, the whatever the role was, because our society tells us our
Yeah.
value and our purpose is our role.
Mhm.
How do you talk to them about that? What do you say to people when they're in that identity crisis? Because it is now currently a global epidemic or challenge. There's millions of people going through this. Who am I now? Question.
Yeah. And I would say one of the most exciting things is that this is a wonderful opportunity. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. It's like the world is at your doorstep. You can do whatever at this point, and that is exciting. And so I go, what is some self-reflection that you're doing on what is it that gets me excited? What
Mm,
is it that I care about in this world? What do I want to be remembered for? What do I, what am I really good at? And it may be something just a little bit different than what you were doing when you retired. But now you get, if you're an accountant, maybe you still want to use your accounting skills, but now you get the opportunity to bless a nonprofit that's changing lives,
Mhm.
and redirect your energy for kingdom work, if that's, your desire. Or you see this need in our community, and now you have the time and energy to begin to devote to that would not get solved, and people would not get served. And so, the most important things that we do in life and the things that are lasting are not the things that we build for ourselves.
Mm,
They're the things that we build for others.
mm.
And I think that is the question that we get to ask. And I get so frustrated with younger people sometimes because we write off people who are in our season. And I'm like, no, these people rock and they got so much to offer. And we are foolish to let this generation just kind of drift on, right? I'm going, no, we can make a huge difference and we're not close to dead yet. And so I'm like going, oh my gosh, just let me get to that person and let's dream about what we could be and what we could do. And sometimes you need, a person like us, like sitting with you because you just don't see any. It's like, I can't see
Yeah.
because I've done the same thing for so long. And I'm like, oh no, I see this and this and this, and then it's, where is your passion? If you come from a spiritual background, where do you feel like God's leading you to be an impact player? And then you're never going to get, this is what I really think is a challenge. We want exact certainty. We're never going to get exact certainty. What we're going to get is an idea, a thought. Usually, you'll know you're going in the right direction if you feel like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Then you've probably hit the sweet spot because it will be something that you and God do together and it'll be even more impactful. But, what I found is always just take the next best
Yeah.
step, not the next right one, the next best one, because that's all I know to do. The right one will make me paralyzed because I'll go, should I be doing that? Should I be doing that? Just take a step. And when we take a step, hold loosely to our dreams and God directs those for us. Or we'll get an open door or shut door and we'll go, oh, okay, well, I got to go around the sidewalk on that one. I think about that when I built Anchor Point. I'm like, I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Hmm.
And I was like, what's the next best thing? Okay, maybe I should file some paperwork. Maybe I should do this. Or when we started getting clients, I was like, maybe we should do some education. And we just started building it. And look where it is now. And the thousands of people. And I'm going, I have no exact, there was no straight line. I don't know exactly how I got here, but I do know this. I do know I can do the next best thing.
Yeah.
And that's all. And that's the best I got. And that is more than enough.
Oh, that's such a beautiful distinction, Debbie, because the next best is, and best, not from best from some kind of judgment, but just like next best thing I can imagine or do versus
And dream up.
next right is so immobilizing and so paralyzing, like you said. So great little shift distinction that makes all the difference. And I really like that phrase, take a step, hold loosely to the dream, and then God will direct you. So I call it being passionately invested, but not attached. So being
Yeah.
all in, being like,
Mhm.
I am ready, I am willing, I am going for it. I have no idea what I'm going for, but I'm going for it, and not invested to how it looks, not invested to how it comes about, not invested in the results, but being willing to pivot. Part of that, though, I think really requires us trusting ourselves. So I do want to come back to this word trust because a lot of times people, and how we've been talking about it is often about trusting a system or other people or a process. But really,
Mhm.
truly, one of the biggest challenges is we don't trust ourselves. And
Mhm.
well, for a lot of people, it's because we don't keep our word to ourselves. We erode, our trust in ourselves. We show up 5 minutes late here and there, and we just aren't in integrity all the time. When you're working with people, how do you identify when they have when they don't trust themselves? Because that undermines our ability to move forward. So how do you know when people don't really trust themselves?
Dude, what happens when the pressure goes up? Because that will tell us. Because when I'm under stress or when things are coming at me, what do I typically do? Do I control? Do I hustle? Do I go silent? Do I look at the world or other people for evidence or feedback or try to appease them? There's several things that we naturally do. Okay. And what we need to understand is that those particular things are things that we have learned as we've gone through our life. And those have been our survival mechanisms that are just wired in us. I'll give you a good example. For me personally, I'm a control girl. Okay. But in my story, I held 4 babies as they died in my arms, and I couldn't control that situation.
Mhm.
Right. And so what happens? I naturally, ever since then, I want to control things because I'm like, I don't want to ever feel out of control again. And the truth is, I can control things until I can't show up at 100%.
Mhm.
And then things start to fall apart. So in the ministry that I run, 6 or 7 years ago, I slammed a car door on my leg and got a wound that wouldn't heal, got a staph infection. It should have killed me. And so the things that I had been able to cover and do at Anchor Point, instead of the structure handling it,
Mhm.
now began to show up, didn't they? And
Mm.
I physically just didn't have enough in me to go control it all.
Mhm.
Right. And so that was wonderful for the organization for us to begin to have to deal with those things and put things in place to make sure that we could do that. I needed to get healthy too, so I got healthy. But, what I noticed was I have a tendency to jump to control.
Mhm.
Well, is control the thing that I want to do? Because I'm not trusting the situation, myself, God in those situations. I am trying to grab a hold of everything. So it just reveals to me where my weakness is. I need to work on that. And for me, I work on that spiritually. And I'm like, okay, if I say I can trust God and yet I'm trying to control everything, there's
Mhm.
a disconnect there, right? So this is where I think we do need people that love us, that are looking for the best in us and are willing to say hard things to us and encourage us and challenge us to go to the next level. We need to willingly put ourselves in those types of circles,
Mhm.
so that we have people that, and it doesn't have to be a big group, but they've got our backs and they won't let us just slide.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I would say is trying to hold myself accountable or trying to have my husband hold me accountable. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I have to get somebody that's outside of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we just take it easy on ourselves and it's easy to slide. And with my husband, I expect him to love me no matter what, right? And so even if I did, eat that chocolate cake and I shouldn't have, and he said something, it's just easy for me to let go on that. But it's not when it's an advisor, a mentor, a friend. Then I'm going to go, I'm going to think twice.
Yeah.
When my nutritionist has dinner with me, I eat differently.
Interesting.
Right? I'm like, I don't eat chocolate cake even though I want it. Oh, so, but that's really what it's like, right? And so who are we letting step in and help us see
Mhm.
uh, that we are letting things slide, or that we are being a little lax, or that there is more for us if we would just do this. Ultimately, we get to decide.
Yeah.
But if we want to leave a life of impact now and in the future, then we've got to be really intentional about that because we don't have forever. We do have time, but we don't have forever.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
and at this age and stage, it's kind of like there is that real dichotomy of need a vision for the next 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. And that wasn't the case in the past. And so we aren't thinking in terms of crafting that next chapter very intentionally. We've
Mhm.
got a third of our life left. And for many people, that's like kind of a shocking
Yeah.
to think. And every second counts. Like, I have a sense of urgency about building Maturepreneur World because, pitter patter, let's get at her. There's a lot of need, and B, who knows what will be possible for me next month or next year or 5 years from now or whatever. So there's a lot to do, and so I have that sense of urgency. Just a couple of quick things. What helps you? Well, and not necessarily small things, but let's see if we can do these pretty quickly. Because you
Sure.
mentioned about trust and having advisors and so forth. And as you were saying earlier, we can't necessarily see the vision of who we are. I call it we can't read the label from inside the jar, or we can't see what's on
Oh,
the end
yeah.
of the nose. So we need someone to help us pull that back and get some perspective. And as you said, call us on our stuff. What is But you also mentioned that when we hunker down on control and when we get scared, and often in times of transition, reinvention, yes, there's lots of possibilities, but there's also lots of unknown. And people who have been raised their whole lives to have the answers aren't really comfortable with not knowing, with stepping into conscious incompetence. It's not our strong suit. So
Mhm.
really, and I struggle with this word a lot as well, what it takes is surrender. It takes
Mhm.
letting go. It takes stepping into or relaxing into the arms of trust. What do you do to support yourself in surrendering and letting go?
Well, accountability is good.
Hmm.
Second is I spend it's interesting. I've had to slow down more as I've gotten older to really stop and evaluate me
Mm,
and go, oh my gosh, when I think about that subject, my chest gets real tight, which
mm,
is just an indicator of something coming that I'm going to lose it. The pressure's going up, and I'm going, why am I tight? What am I worried about? What am I doing? So, this self reflection, and, I also go, okay, God, what do you want me to know about that pain in my chest?
mhm.
I feel like I need to control that. What do you got to say about this situation? And then what do you want me to do? And so I just have gotten really good at doing that because I believe that God's the creator of the universe. He has all the answers. Why wouldn't I rely on him? Instead of thinking I need to control everything. So that is for me slowing down and doing that. And sometimes I find myself going, okay, I need to get on with my day because I got things to do. And
Yeah,
he's like, sit still. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll sit still. But I found that I'm more productive. I get more done. I have more clarity and more wisdom, which saves me a ton of time.
yes.
And I'm going, next best step. I can do that. I
Okay.
can do that. And that's my deal.
Okay. So check in with your body, slow down and be present in the moment. Take a time to slow down so that you can then speed up. Check in with God and with what is the message that is coming through right now, uh, so that you can then get back to being on track with the way that you are being led and directed. I know one of the things for me when I get out of trust, a lot of it is I get into scarcity and fear. And but what about this and what about that? And will this work? And will I get money from there? And so forth and so on. And one of the things I do that's a very simple little trick is there's a website. I don't have the URL right now, but you can Google how many days have I been alive? And then I write the number, and it's, I don't know, 13,494 or whatever it is. I write that number down on a piece of post-it paper and put it on my computer. And I tell myself, okay, if I did an experiment of 13,934 times and got the same result, i.e., I'm okay, I'm alive, I'm well, I'm fed, I'm housed, I'm
That's
okay.
great. Yeah.
What are the odds that on the 19,935th time, I wouldn't be okay? And, it's like, so I just have to kind of talk to myself and get that I'm taken care of. I'm okay. I can relax into the arms of trust. I don't have to hold on so tight. So whatever it is that works for you, folks, but that sometimes when I get really twisty, that number helps. It's because to just look at it.
Perspective is everything,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's everything. And so I go, when we can put ourselves in a good spot, that will help us.
Okay. So very quickly, tell us about the proprietary framework, the obedience engine.
Sure, that obedience engine is just that thing that we all like, oh my gosh, like you said. But the obedience engine is just simply when we recognize the pressure went up and we see where we're starting to lose it or what we try and do to work through, like mine was control, then this is just a process to say, let's evaluate it, let's make adjustments, and then let's go on about our day and let's try it again. And just staying true to that cycle will be extremely positive because this is about a journey, not about a one-time event. And so we're going to do this. We do this the rest of our lives. We do it all the time anyway. So this is just a neat way for us to stop and think along the way and make sure we make the adjustments that we need to make.
Interesting. It sounds like a very great, self-reflection tool and a great way
Mhm.
to check in. It's just the word obedience makes my butt go tight. It's like, the rebel in me just kind of like, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to, as I said earlier, surrender. Surrender and I have had an interesting walk and path. Um,
Me too.
okay, so
Hmm.
a couple of quick little questions and then we'll wrap up. So when you have a hard time keeping going, or starting something new, when you've transitioned and you're in that stage of I don't know, what are two or three tips, tools, resources that you use to get over that hump?
Okay. First is always next best step.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. When I got a lawsuit filed on me, I went, what am I going to do? Okay, what's the next best step? Call the attorney. Okay, that's a great next step. So that for me, because I go, it's all about movement. So, whatever it is. And then the other thing is this kind of surrender idea is that, whatever I'm facing today is not a surprise for God. It's a
Mm,
surprise for me, but this is a time for me to lean in and figure my way with him. And that is what I try and stop and do and just ask those questions. What do you want me to know about it and how do I move forward?
mm,
And he's gracious to give us wisdom when we
mm,
ask for it. My problem generally is I get the wisdom and I go, I'm not really sure you were right, but I'm learning in that. So those are the two big things that I do
yeah.
all the time. Those are the two big takeaways for me.
Good. Awesome. And what has been the kind of surprising thing you've learned as you've aged in your business?
Is that I perform for an audience of one,
Mm,
and I just perform for God. That's it. And everything else is bonus. So if it reaches 10 people, if it reaches 1,000 people, but if I'm obedient, which is our word, if I'm obedient to what I believe he's called me to do, then I have been successful in his eyes. And if I'm successful in my dad's eyes,
yeah.
then the rest of the world doesn't matter because he's smiling.
Okay. Awesome. And so I want to find out the last piece of wisdom you want to leave everyone with. But folks, I just want to let you know that if you are in that stage where you're trying to figure out what's next for you, you're asking that question, where am I? Who am I now that I'm not the whatever? And what's next? Please do check out maturepreneur.world for the Clarity Compass workshop. It supports you in identifying your vision, your purpose, which is not what you do, it's why you do it, and how you're going to live into that, whether it's through a business or a nonprofit or whatever that may be. It's a wonderful, affordable way for you to experientially get clear on who are you now? What is the next chapter going to be for you and for the world so that you can leave the legacy that you want to leave? So please do go to maturepreneur.world or reach out to me. Let me know how I can support you in that. And reach out to Debbie because she also supports people in transition, making those next decisions and those transitions into being the kind of leader that you really want to be. Uh, Two more questions, Debbie. What does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means that I am leaving something that will impact lives for decades and decades and decades after I'm gone. And so those are the significant things. So that's why I think it's fun. for Anchor Point to be around and I be in heaven having a conversation with Jesus going, look at that person getting served. I got to be part of that. And so I don't think it's just money.
Yeah.
I think it's the things that we build for others.
And why do you think it's so important for people to think about or have a legacy?
Well, the truth of the matter is when we die, we will have a legacy. But we can determine what it is and how we want to be remembered, or it'll just happen. And it may be good, maybe bad. So I'd like to direct that. I'd like to get to choose. And you have to build it now while we have these years, so that we can leave it. If not, we'll just get to the end and it'll be whatever it is.
Brilliant. I love your kind of practical wisdom and heart. Tell me, what's one last piece of advice you'd like to leave people with, especially those who might be sitting in that uncomfortable space of not where I want to be, don't know what I want, sitting in that not quite clear, not quite in space.
I would say you are in an exciting place right now, even though it doesn't feel like it. And don't fight it. Lean in and explore and figure it out. See it like a game. Like I'm just trying to figure out the prize, and go after it and get other positive people in your life that will help you do that. And just remember that you are valuable. You have purpose. You have passion. You have all of this in you, and we just have to pull it out. And the world will miss out on something special if you don't figure this out. And we don't want that, because together we make huge ripples that change the world forever. And so join us, because we want you to be part of the team. And you know what? Tomorrow, the sun's going to come up again, and we're going to get to try again if we don't get it quite right today. And that's cool. We got this opportunity.
Beautiful. So where can people find you? Where can they reach out to you?
Sure. If you want to learn more about me, it is at thedebbieSimmons.com. And then I do have, for anyone that would like it, my book, The Heart of Legacy, which is a wonderful tool to help you think through some of these things, is available for free. And you can get that at theheartoflegacy.com. And then the last thing is our new project is the architecture of trust.co. There is a diagnostic there for those people who have got those 4 or 5 employees or more, and they're going crazy. Go take the diagnostic to figure out where you're struggling in your structure, because that will be a blessing to you.
Beautiful. I appreciate that. Okay, so go to theheartoflegacy.com, correct, to get the book, and to your website, which is the Debbie Simmons.
Yep.
.com for the other information. So by all means, do go and grab those wonderful gifts and check out Debbie's services and offerings. And as she said, your unique voice is needed in the choir, because the choir is not quite as sweet without it. So pitter patter, my friends, let's get at her, because if not now, when? Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away, so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.